Hello all, this is Adele with NileKid Tech, and I am here today very excited because that means I have completed my series for beginners on the Sony a6300. I got this camera during the holiday season this year, 2017, and I figured what is the best way to learn to use this camera? Well, go through every function, research it, learn about it, and use it. And I figured, why not document it and put it for you right here? The reason why I'm doing this, because I truly believe if you really want to use it, use a camera. How many of us know someone, or even did it ourselves, where we bought a camera, promised ourselves we're going to use it, maybe even went further as using it on a trip or a special occasion or here and there, and then you put it on a shelf and you let it collect dust. I'm sure a lot of us could relate to that. So I figured that the best way not to do that, besides my love for photography, is to learn and research everything about it. Every feature, every menu option, what it does, how it does it, and how I could learn about it. So I figured I could document this on videos and share it with you guys on my channel. For the record, I am not sponsored by Sony. Sony has not paid me or anything has to do with this camera. As a matter of fact, I'm shooting this video on a Panasonic G7. So if this is a success and I have a good feedback from you guys, I might do another video series on the Panasonic G7. So with that being said, let me tell you about how this first episode is gonna go. First episode, I'm gonna take it easy on you guys. So we're only gonna go over the body of the camera, buttons and what they do. Very simple, not gonna go into too much details. Let's get started. All right, as I mentioned in the intro, this episode is going to be just exploring the camera itself, all the buttons on it, and episode 2 is where we start to get into how to use each mode and everything. I know that first episode might seem very boring, and it's going to look like it's one of those unboxing, reviewing the camera, but bear with me, and I promise you, starting in episode 2, if you're a beginner photographer or you have very limited information, you will be getting a ton of information. And I'm breaking it down in as many episodes as humanly possible so that you could pace yourself, learn, come back, learn some more, and so on. So let's get started. I'm going to start with the front of the camera. First button I want to go over, the most important button, is this one right here, the shutter button. With this camera, just like a lot of other DSLRs, you're going to notice that some buttons are on top of each other. So you have the shutter button right here, which is what you use to take a picture. You press on it half a press to help you the autofocus, and if you press on it all the way down, that's when it takes a picture. Right beneath it is the on-off button, and that one works by turning it this way. As you could see, lens comes out. When you put it off, the lens retracts back to its original place. Right next to it is the C1 button. That stands for Custom 1. You used it to customize it for a function that perhaps another button is already doing, but you don't like it. For example, a lot of people who use the Sony a6300 customize this button to be the video recording button. The reason why is because a lot of people find that the video recording button, which is located right here, is in an awkward position. It's a lot easier, especially when you're taking picture and you're used to, having your thumb on the shutter button, for you to just switch to the C1 button and press on it. Right here is the remote sensor button. If you if you feel like taking pictures from far away, or you do a lot of perhaps product photography and things like that, this sensor right here would connect with the outside remote, which is purchased separately, and you would control the camera through that remote. It's an infrared, so that's why you have that sensor right here. Let me see if I could bring it into focus. There you go. Right beneath it, which you don't see in that bulge right here, if you will, is the Wi-Fi antenna. Because the 6300 has Wi-Fi capability connectivity, which you could use to connect to your smartphone and you could use your smartphone as a monitor for the Sony a6300. Right, moving to the side a bit, and right underneath the word Sony, you will notice a right below. So moving to the side, and right below the Sony word is the timer lamp. This one you use it for if you're using the setting of in the Sony 6300 where you're taking a picture while you're going to be in it, so you time it so that it will snap the picture after, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds, something like that. Whatever time frame you need to get into the frame, if you will. So this becomes your indicator, so you could know that the picture was snapped. Right? Moving to the side of the Sony, you'll notice these two openings right here. These are the built-in mics. Pretty much this is the front of the camera, if you will. So let's remove the lens and talk a little bit more about what's hidden behind it. In order for you to remove the lens, there is a button tucked underneath it right here, which you would press on it and tilt the lens counterclockwise till it comes off like this. You will notice this right here is the mount. Right here it will say E-mount, which is the type of lenses that works with this model of Sony DSLRs. So anytime you want to buy a Sony camera, it must be E-mount compatible. In the middle right there is the sensor. In episode 2, I talk in a great deal about the sensors, how they work, their different sizes, that kind of stuff, and I'll explain to you how they work, how important they are, and the different sizes. And actually, it's the most important piece in a camera, and it determines the price and the size of the camera. Underneath here, you see those line dots. These are the connectors that connect with the lens, also line dots, so that they could communicate and snap the picture or take the video that you're looking for. Now let's go ahead and mount and show you how to mount the lens. Almost every DSLRs you will find whether they have a red dot or a white dot of some sort. In this case, with the Sony a6300, it's a white dot on the lens. You look at the body of the camera itself, you will notice a white dot right here. So it's very simple. All you need to do is line these two dots together, and now twist it clockwise till you hear it snap, and that's when you know it's in its place. Mommy. This is pretty much sums up the front of the camera. Let's move to the side. Moving to the side of the camera, first thing you're going to notice is the strap hook. This is where you put the strap. I don't like the built-in strap because you have to put it in and it's permanently in there. And sometimes I put this camera on a stabilizer, so it becomes inconvenient. So I ended up purchasing a separate strap, which I would link in the comment section below, where it's a hook. You could hook it in and out in like a second. Beneath it, those three look like three hollow dots or three holes. These are the speaker. Because the Sony a6300 supports playback of videos, you obviously want to hear your own audio and how it sounds. This is where you would hear it. Right below the speakers, you'll notice this little door, which you'll open by pushing out, and it will pull up with a spring. There are 4 things here that I'm going to be going over. 3 of those connections and a small little lamp right here that lights green. This one right here is the mini USB, which you would use to connect to the camera to charge. The Sony a6300 can be used to charge the battery if you don't want to get an external charger. This right here is the HDMI out. The a6300 also supports HDMI playback on a monitor, so this is where you would use it to connect it to a monitor. This right here is what every videographer's looking for in a camera, which is the audio jack in. Moving to the back of the camera, I want to start off with the two major things that take a lot of real estate in the back, which is the LCD monitor and the viewfinder. I'll start off with the viewfinder. Viewfinder comes with a cap, which you could take off like this. Built in within next to the viewfinder is a sensor. When you get close to the sensor or even cover it with your finger like that, what it does is turn off the LCD monitor. Now, I'm recording this in daylight and there's a lot of glare, but let's see if I could give you an example. Let me put something here. I'll use the lens cap. All right, I believe you could see it. All right, let me go ahead and cover the sensor. So you could see right away it turned off the LCD screen, and now you'll be able to look into the viewfinder and see your shots. If not, then most likely, or most people use it like this. Right next to the viewfinder is this dial. This dial you use to adjust so to get a clear view from the viewfinder. So remember that it doesn't do anything to the LCD, just the viewfinder. The LCD itself, there's not much to say about it, other than it does come out like this. It tilts this way. And it tilts that way as well. However, it doesn't tilt up, which is a knock on the Sony a6300. Right here is the flash button. When you press on it, the flash comes up if you know you're going to be taking a shot using a flash. Right next to it here is the menu button. Pressing on it will get you a menu. Sony has done a great job with their menu. It's very detailed, very broken down, and I will be going over each one of those menu options in later episodes. This right here is the autofocus manual focus lever. In it is the zoom in and out button, but this one you use to zoom in and out on pictures you've taken. Let me see if I could give you an example. This is here a dog, a small puppy pit bull that I took a picture of. Belongs to my nephew. As you could see, I zoomed in on it, and then using this dial right here, you could move around the photo. Below it is the function button, and right below the function button, this is here the control wheel. And again, I'll be going over this in detail in later episodes. And the middle button right here is, think of it as the enter button on your computer. Because the LCD screen is not a touch screen on the a6300, this is where you would be choosing which option you want after you move around with the option dial, or control wheel I should say. Below here is the playback button. You use this one to bring up pictures or videos you've taken.
And right next to it is the second customize button, but it also functions as the delete button. So if you shot a picture you don't like, you bring it up using this button, browse using the control wheel, and once you get to the image you want to delete, you press this button. Pretty straightforward. Last button to talk about here is the record button, which is right there. As I said, a lot of people find it awkward or in an awkward place. The reason why is because when you're holding, we're so used to using our thumb to snap pictures. It becomes very awkward when you use your thumb to press on it. This is here the record button. As I said, a lot of people do find it in an awkward spot on the a6300. So they ended up customizing this button right here to record. As you could see, it makes sense because most likely you're using your index to snap pictures. So it makes sense that you would move it a little and then hit record. What it doesn't make sense is to use your thumb to hit record. But if it works for you, by all means, no problem. On the top is all the goodies, I think. Here is the cold shoe mount, which is a standard size. Anything with a cold shoe mount will fit in here. Right next to it is the dial mode. This is where I'm going to be spending literally the second episode of this series of videos on. Just going over the dial mode. If you're a beginning photographer, you don't know much about photography, you would be learning so much just by understanding what each one of those options does. And that's exactly what I'm doing in episode 2, is going over what each option does, giving you examples, showing you how to use it. And even if you don't end up with the Sony a6300, you will most likely end up with another DSLR that has very similar options. Right next to the mode dial is the selection dial. So some of these modes have more than one option to choose from. And this dial right here is what gets you to adjust it and choose the option that you're looking for. Pretty much this is it for this episode. All right, all. Thanks for watching the first episode. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year for those who celebrate. Please do subscribe so you could easily find the following episodes. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care, be good, and we'll see you in the next episode. Take care.